Welcome back to TFT Central. Today we've got loads of exciting news about the OLED monitor market that we're going to share with you. We'll be covering exactly what you can expect to see developed over the next year throughout 2024, as well as some things that you can expect to see the following year in 2025 and beyond. This is based on panel roadmap information from LG.Display, who manufacture all of the WOLED technology panels used in the market today, and they compete against Samsung with their own QD-OLED technology. We'll hopefully have an update on Samsung's QD-OLED development at some point as well soon, so do hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on that. For LG Display's OLED roadmaps, we've got information on improved text clarity, brighter panels, higher resolutions, higher refresh rates, and even glossy panels, so stay tuned for all that information. This video covers information about LG Display's panel production plans and schedules, but do keep in mind that this is LG Display, who are a panel manufacturer, not LG Electronics, who are a monitor and TV manufacturer. Announcements from actual display manufacturers who might adopt these panels in the future, including LG Electronics and then others like Asus, Acer and so on, could follow at some point, but there's usually around a 3-month lag from panel mass production until we start to see monitors available released based on those panels. The dates that we'll talk about in this video are for the planned panel mass production, so add 3 months to those timescales if you're considering what monitors are going to be available using them in the future. We'll try and cover as many of the monitors we know about so far that feature these new panels as well as we go. It looks like it's going to be a really interesting couple of years for OLED monitors, so let's get straight into it. One of the key things LG Display are looking to do over the next couple of years is improve the text clarity on their WOLED panels. Because of the unusual subpixel structure of all of their current panels, it does lead to some issues with text clarity and text rendering, and that's especially problematic on desktop monitors that are often going to be used for static desktop and text work. The Windows operating system expects the panel to have a normal red, blue, green or RGB subpixel layout, but the current panels have an unexpected red, white, blue, green layout. Not only are the RGB subpixels in the wrong order, but they've also added in a white subpixel, which is what gives WOLED its name for white OLED. This is used to help increase panel brightness, and it's been used in their WOLED panels for many years now, but this overall unusual layout does lead to problems with text rendering and clarity, and we've commented on that a lot in our reviews as well. Samsung made some improvements to their second-gen QD-OLED panels in 2023, and LG Display are now looking to do the same with their WOLED panels in 2024. They now plan to produce their new top-end and flagship panels with a new subpixel layout of red, green, white and blue. The white subpixel is still there and used and needed at this stage, but the R, G and B are now in the correct order, which should help. They've also moved the position of the white subpixel so that it's third in the stripe instead of second, which presumably they've also tested as being better. These changes are expected to improve text clarity, and we're definitely really excited to see some of these screens in action when we come to test them. Combined with higher pixel density in some cases, this could hopefully help solve a lot of the problems currently faced by WOLED panels. Some of their other new panels will feature the current layout, but those tend to be the lower spec panels or those which are just updates or changes to their existing panels. We'll identify which of the new panels will feature this improved subpixel layout when we go through the actual panel sizes and specs in a moment, so stay tuned. LG Display will continue to feature MLA or micro lens array in their forthcoming monitor panels as well, which is used for their current 27-inch and 45-inch options. This helps them improve the brightness, and it's a fundamental technology from their 2023 Meta OLED generation. Speaking of brightness, they're also investing in trying to improve OLED brightness further, pushing the peak HDR brightness up from the current 1000 nits spec to 1300 nits, which would be a 30% increase in luminance. The improvements should also allow for brighter screens where the APL is higher too, so for an overall brighter viewing experience on future WOLED panels. This includes an increase in their spec from 150 nits to 275 nits for a full 100% APL. These changes to brightness should apply across their entire new panel range, and we'll talk about that in a moment. If you're considering an OLED monitor, then there are 5 things you should know first, including more details on text clarity challenges and OLED dimming. So we'll cover that in the video that's linked on the screen now. Let's cover quickly then the LG Display WOLED panels that are already in production and being used in the monitor market. They've got a 27-inch 1440p resolution panel with a 240Hz refresh rate that's used in loads of monitors already, including LG's own 27GR95QE, the Asus ROG Swift PG27AQDM, and the KTC G27P6, for example, that we've reviewed over the last year. Links are in the description below for all three of those reviews. They've also got a 45-inch curved ultra-wide panel with a 3440 by 1440 resolution and 240Hz refresh rate. That's used in a few monitors already, including, for example, the Corsair Xeneon Flex 45WQHD240 that we've also reviewed, and again, it's linked in the description. In our last couple of updates back in March and August 2023, we told you about a couple of new panels that they were planning, and we're pleased to confirm that these have now gone into panel mass production and are ready for monitor adoption. First up is their new 34-inch ultra-wide panel with a 3440 by 1440 resolution and 240Hz. This is actually the first time that LG.Display will directly compete with the other OLED panel manufacturer Samsung in the monitor segment. It will be a direct competitor to Samsung's current 175Hz QD OLED panel of this size and their planned future 240Hz version of the same panel. LG Display's WOLED panel has got an increased 1300 nits peak brightness, and there's already been 2 monitors announced so far featuring this new panel. The first was a model from Asus that we saw showcased at Gamescom in August 2023, and then LG Electronics announced a model of their own very recently in late December 2023, ahead of a full unveiling at CES in January 2024. This panel is already in mass production now as of December 2023, and so we'd expect to see the monitors released featuring this panel from Asus and LG, and probably others, released towards the end of Q1. Others are likely to be announced at CES in January 2024, so keep an eye out for more news on that. They've also got a larger 39-inch ultra-wide panel with the same 3440 by 1440 resolution and 240Hz, which should also be in production now as well as of December 2023. We've only just seen one monitor announced featuring this panel, which is from LG, but it's an interesting option as it will offer a screen size in between 34-inch and 45-inch models, along with a pixel density that sits somewhere in between those as well. All 4 of these panels are in production now and are based on the existing RWBG subpixel layout, by the way. But the new 34-inch and 39-inch models will feature the new higher brightness panels. Before we move on to the exciting top-end flagship models they're developing, we should quickly mention some alternative options to these 4 panels that the company are also planning. And this is in order to offer diversification and presumably to help meet lower price points in some cases. This year they are also considering the production of 165Hz refresh rate versions of their current 34-inch and 39-inch ultra-wide panels. So those will offer a lower refresh rate than 240Hz that's available now, and it should help drive pricing down of those subsequent monitors. The 34-inch and 39-inch panels with the lower 165Hz refresh rate are listed at the moment for Q3 2024 production, although only in the considering stage at this time. They're based on the older pixel layout, by the way, like the 240Hz versions are. A higher brightness version of the existing 27-inch 1440p 240Hz panel is also expected to go into production during Q1 2024, but the rest of the spec remains basically the same as the current panel. That would, however, offer 1300 nits peak brightness compared with the 1000 nits of the current panel. There is also, interestingly, a suggestion that this new 27-inch 1440p 240Hz panel could be produced with a glare polarizer, which implies it would have a glossy panel coating instead of the current matte anti-glare coating, which we've reported on in our reviews as being especially grainy on their current panels. More details on this possible new panel coating are still to be confirmed, but if they were to produce a glossy version of their 27-inch 240Hz panel, it could be very popular with some users. Like we said, this one is listed for Q1 2024 panel mass production, and we await news on any monitors that might make use of it. These additional new panels would all be using the current RWBG subpixel layout too. It's only their new flagship panels that seem to be moving to the new layout, and that's designed to help improve text clarity, as we said earlier. Let's cover those right now. This is where things start to get really exciting. First is their 31.5-inch or 32-inch 4K resolution 240Hz panel. This is a direct competitor to Samsung's QD OLED panel of the same size and spec, and while Samsung's should be available sooner, LG's version does have some other tricks up its sleeves that may well be worth waiting for. There's been a couple of monitors announced so far that will be based on Samsung's QD-OLED panel, including models from Asus, MSI and Dell. We'll link to all of those in the description below. So far we know of Doe and LG who plan to use LG's panel though. This panel will not only support 4K 240Hz, but it can also run at a lower 1080p resolution but at a higher 480Hz refresh rate through a feature that LG Display called DFR, or Dynamic Frequency and Resolution. This gives you a great choice if you want to prioritize frame rates and motion clarity further instead of resolution and detail, and so that could be an excellent feature for different gaming genres and use cases. This panel will also be using their new RGB enhanced subpixel layout that we talked about earlier, which should improve text clarity, and along with that increased pixel density of the 4K resolution should offer a really great improvement. This 31.5-inch panel is expected to go into mass production around May-June 2024, so we wouldn't expect to see monitors released using it until around September-October 2024 as well. In the smaller 27-inch segment, they are also producing a new 1440p resolution panel, but with the refresh rate doubled from the existing 240Hz right up to 480Hz. This would give you the motion clarity equivalent to a hypothetical 720Hz LCD, which is pretty amazing. This panel will also feature the updated pixel layout, which is great news, even though the resolution is still only 1440p. It's the same thing with the production timescales as the 31.5-inch model too. This one isn't expected to go into panel mass production until around May-June 2024, so we wouldn't expect to see any monitors released using it until around September-October time. We've not seen any monitors announced yet that feature this panel, but we could well see some announced and covered during the CES event in January. There's also an update planned for their 45-inch ultra-wide panel towards the end of next year, around December 2024 at the moment, which is not only expected to feature the newer subpixel layout, but it's also expected to offer a higher 5120 by 2160 resolution and therefore an increased pixel density. There looks like there should be a 240Hz and a 165Hz refresh rate version of this new panel produced. Quite a lot further down the line, they've also got plans for some interesting additional developments. This includes some new ultra-wide panels in sizes of 34-inch and 39 inches, but with an increased WUHD 5120 by 2160 resolution, leading to much higher pixel densities and sharper images than the current panels. They'd still have a 240Hz refresh rate and also have the updated subpixel layout as well. So these are only in the planning phase at the moment and aren't expected to go into panel mass production until Q4 2025 at the moment. That could of course change and things will no doubt be updated over the next year or so. The company are also exploring the option of moving to a true 3 subpixel RGB layout in the future and doing away with the white subpixel for some future panels. This is again only in the planning phase and time will tell whether they really get rid of the white subpixel, but there are currently plans to produce 27-inch and 31.5-inch size panels with a 4K resolution and 240Hz refresh rate. These are penciled in for 2025 mass production at the moment, but this new RGB subpixel layout could eliminate all text rendering problems in theory if they can implement it properly and they follow through on those plans. At the moment, the 27-inch version is tentatively listed for Q4 2025 production, so a long way off and very likely to change over the next year or so. The larger 31.5-inch panel isn't even given a timeline at the moment. Whether or not they will really abandon the long-used white subpixel or not remains to be seen, but it's certainly interesting that they're looking into this at least. That 27-inch panel, by the way, is also the first of the size that will have a planned 4K resolution, so pixel densities that high from LG.Display's WOLED is still quite a long way off. 4K resolution in the larger 31.5-inch size will be sooner though, thankfully, and we talked about that a bit earlier. Conspicuous by its absence in the latest update that we have is any new improvements to their 42-inch WOLED panel that's currently available with a 4K resolution and 120Hz refresh rate, and that's used in various TVs and large format displays including the LG 42C3, Asus's ROG Swift PG42UQ and the KTC G42P5 that we've reviewed and are linked in the description below. We know that LG's 42-inch C4 model is expected next year to have a slightly boosted 144Hz refresh rate, but this seems to be an overclock of the existing panel. Back in our previous updates from March 2023, We had details of a 42-inch panel with a 4K resolution and 240Hz refresh rate available, and that was planned for Q3 2024. But that doesn't appear now in all of the newest updates that we've had, unfortunately. The existing 42-inch 120Hz panel is listed, but there's no sign of that faster 240Hz version now. Perhaps it's been scrapped or pushed back in favour of focusing on the smaller monitor size panels perhaps. If we get any more information, we will of course let you know, so don't forget to hit subscribe to stay up to date. So there you have it. We've got new subpixel layouts coming that should help with text clarity, higher brightness for HDR, new panel sizes, high resolutions, increased pixel densities, increased and flexible refresh rates, and even a new glossy panel coating option planned. We've linked in the description below to any recent news related to monitors using these new OLED panels, and don't forget that it's CES coming up very soon from the 9th of January, so we're likely to see loads more news about OLED monitors announced there. Hopefully there'll be several based on some of these exciting new panels as well, so let us know in the comments section below which panel or screen you're most excited about and which one you're hoping to buy when it's available. Do hit subscribe to make sure you stay up to date, and we'll provide some updates on all this stuff from the event very soon. We've also got lots of other monitor and OLED content coming soon, so make sure you come back soon to check all of that out. If you're really not sure whether you should buy an OLED monitor right now or wait for the new models next year, check out the video linked on the screen now. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.